Hi, welcome back to another video in the series. Thank you so much. We had so much fun in our last video for securing an environment using mitigation techniques. I thought, why not add another? Just kidding. But yeah, so we're actually going to talk about cybersecurity backup and restore strategies. And for our first exercise, we're going to go through backup types, right? So there's different backup types we can perform, right? So we can actually back up data on the same local system, which could be done through an external drive, another network server, or even a cloud if your business can afford it. But each backup type usually has its pros and cons, right? For example, with a cloud backup, you need an internet connection, right? Or let us, let's say an environmental situation happened and the internet may not be working properly, or the biggest advantage to that is that you can connect anywhere globally, right? And retrieve data or synchronize a few new files with the existing backup as long as you have an internet connection. But we're going to use Microsoft OneDrive for backing up files in the cloud for what we're about to do now. So, the different types of data backup, right? You can do full backup, incremental backup, differential. You can actually use cloud storage for backup, which is actually what we're going to get into in just a moment. And what Microsoft OneDrive is actually built into the Windows OS, which is awesome. So if you have an Outlook account or Hotmail, if that still exists, can actually use this utility to back up your drive into the OneDrive storage. So I also want to note that Microsoft continues to make changes to the OneDrive wizard. It's going to be definitely a lot of change over the next few years now that they're trying to, at least it looks as if they're trying to lead the AI charge to some extent. But therefore, we may see a slight variation to certain things that you can do on your OneDrive versus what I'm doing in this particular lab. But nonetheless, we're going to push through. So now we're on Win 10. So let's open up OneDrive. All right, there it is. Let's see. Let me actually sign in here. So you use my own OneDrive or Microsoft Outlook account that I created particularly for this lab. So I'm actually going to, now that I'm logged in, just going to hit next. Just going to go through the rigors here. Okay. No, not now. Next, next, next. Later. Open this. All right. And I actually want to close it. But nonetheless, so now I can see in the system tray, right? It'll show here. All right, OneDrive. All right, so it'll show that it's up to date. I'm actually going to take a look at the settings. Can do that here. No. Okay. All right, perfect. So let's add an account. Actually, you know what? We can show the photos. I do have more than one account, though, particularly for this lab. But we noticed that now I can see that the folders that were listed in the file explorer from earlier, they are displayed here. So I'm actually going to open file explorer here, and it should show the OneDrive. There it is. So we see the OneDrive has appeared. So I'm absolutely going to click in there. And of course, it displays the files and folders that I synchronized when I initially opened up when it was loading up the account, right? So when you select this folder to synchronize, it'll appear here as well. So I'm actually going to create a new folder here, actually. Practice lab, right? Then let's actually close it. So now, let's see here. Do online. All right, it should load in a second. It's connected. What's going on? I guess I'll have to manually sign in, which is kind of weird. Sure. Okay. All right, so now that I'm signed in, we can actually see all of my files and folders are already synchronized. So now we're going to move into our next task, which is establishing an automated backup. So usually asking a user to manually launch a backup when they have the time and remembers to do so would be error prone and unreliable, most definitely, especially if it's a Friday, right? To make sure that regular backups are right for the holidays. Regular backups are taken, right? Which Windows provides an automated backup tool, which is what we're looking at now. So let's see. Let's actually take a look at our settings so we can automate these backups, right? Let's see here. Take a look there. Look for older backup. Now we're not actually looking for an older backup, by the way. I just want to note that because Windows 7. It just happens to be how the menu options are spelled out in Windows for this particular backup service. So backup service was available with Windows 7, right? So now let's take a look at, let's see, set up backup. There it is. All right, be done in a second. All right, so we want to save on the network, and the network location is going to be DC01. Let's see, IP, the username will be lowercase. Administrator, password is right. Perfect. That's I love seeing that. So now to set up backup window, it just calculates available free space, right? And with the new destination that we specify right here. All right, so I'm actually going to click next. Now let's see what. Now for convenience while it's loading here, the Windows does normally provide to let Windows 2 opt in, and these kind of options are used to pay for installing software, so storing files, but we would be losing control and visibility in this case. So we want to specify exactly what we want to be backed up. So the let me choose option is generally to be your best choice. So now we have that here. Let's the next. Now we need again specify what needs to be backed up. So now let's see here. Should I go back? Let's see, who's data files are these? James, Ian, John, Jane Brown is good. Okay, just these two. All right. All right. Weekly. Actually Saturday and at midnight. Weekly. Right. So we can actually save these. Now, all right, perfect. So now keeping an eye on the storage consumed here, right, as backups are taken, it's a good way to make sure that we don't consume all available space to the backup media, right? The backup is done to a domain controller rather than a dedicated backup storage device for simplicity, at least in this exercise. So now that the backup is complete, just shows us the size of the backup, right? And also provides a link. Also, at the bottom of our screen, it usually allows you to change the settings that define what's backed up and when. There's also a backup now button right here, allowing us to rerun the full backup after changing the settings. So usually these would be able to be stored. Maybe the backup is still in progress. All right. So once the backup is in progress, then we'll have the links available to us here at the bottom. And it's actually go into our next exercise. I thought the backup was done. It's right here in my face. I didn't see it. But what we're going to do is create a system image backup. So by backing up our computer, which is an essential task, most definitely to protect the OS, the applications and the personal data files from issues such as disk failure or something like that. So different OS have different tools and utilities to perform backups. For example, Windows has a backup tool. Linux has several command-based tools, right? So we're just going to initialize to create a new simple value, which is something we've done before, right? And also, before I continue, just showing that these are now highlighted now the backup is done. Also with a free space that we can change the settings and do a few other things as well. But nonetheless, we can go ahead with creating the value, right? So after adding secondary virtual hard disk, we need to use disk management to initialize to create a simple value. Again, did this on another video. I'm just going to do it again, just to piggyback off of what we're doing for this particular exercise, which is just creating a system image backup based under the guise of this cybersecurity backup and restore strategy. So it's actually pivot over here, right? Let's close this guy out. And then see this management. Okay, let's put this one. Usually it doesn't say that. Okay. All right, perfect. So let's here, add mirror. Yes, so on the dialog box, right, it prompted us to confirm we want the basic disk to the dynamic disk. So a basic disk, what it does is it uses partitions and it can have up to 4 of them. So a dynamic disk uses dynamic values naturally, which can be converted to simple values, which you'll see in a second, another type. So just span and stripe, right? So we just need to create a simple value, right? So we need to convert a basic disk to a dynamic one. So that's why I was able to click yes because of that understanding. So now that we've done some conversion, right, from basic to dynamic, the mirror volume is now created. So if we notice that below the hard disk size, right, right here, right, we're thinking is going on, right? So now we have 2 hard disks labeled as C, right, here and here, and which confirms that they are mirrored volumes. So we've just created a RAID 1, which is mirroring, right, which disk mirroring. So I'm just going to wait a few moments while rethinking takes place. Hopefully it doesn't take too long and then I'll close out and we can look forward to our next task. All right, perfect. So the synchronization has completed. So now we can go ahead and perform a full backup in Windows. So the Windows OS, particularly 10 in this lab, it allows us to perform full backups. So we can also use various other third-party programs to perform full backups as well. And some are actually also support incremental backups as well. Like some of the most commonly used third parties are like AOMEI, Standard and Professional, Paragon, and EaseUS or EaseUS, right? But nonetheless, let's get back to what we're doing here. So let's actually swivel over to Win10 and let's take a look at Paragon. Make backup and recovery. All right, of course, yes. All right, let's let it load. I actually used this in another video. I want to say it was the first, probably part 1 of the series that we're doing now. I believe used it one other time. Pretty much the same concept of what we're doing now. If I remember correctly, because a lot of these videos are over a span of a few months. Give some insight as far as a few months to a year, as far as um, you know. Anyway, so let's click on files and folders. Of course, most of this you don't know that we have, right? So let's our destination actually. The way this stuff is, look at users, right? Administrators. I want this to be named backup, right? Perfecto. So now we'll see, let's see, the local folder for backup, right? It's having the backup destination in a real world scenario, right? We should never save backup on the same system. This is because if the system crashes, we're going to lose the original along with the backup. This is literally just for lapping purposes, right? So the backup strategy, actually, here. So now we have the backup strategy, right? And just set the full backups only, right? So we're just going to keep the default settings for everything up else and just click backup now. The reason why I point that out because full backups, they take quite a while, of course, depending on the amount of data that you have. Versus incremental backups, which could be like a few days ago or something like that, which like nearly as long, right? But the backup timeline, it usually has dotted lines right here. But currently there is kind of no marking or dots on these lines means that the backup has been performed normally or is being performed. So, but now while it's backing up, it's just going to take a few minutes to complete. And as I mentioned, the backup and restore time just depends on the amount of data. You're performing a backup over the network, and the network speed also plays an additional layer of a role as far as the speed of the backup. So I'll place the video on the other side of when it's finished. Then we can continue forward with the rest of our exercise here. All right, so the backup is now completed as it showcases here, right? We have the green check mark here. So now we have a green dot, right? And it appears on the backup timeline, right? So it just shows us when the backup was taken. When you actually hover over it, it'll tell you additional details. All right, so we can actually verify also if the full backup was performed. So we can actually apply this, right? We see there's a backup folder that was created, right? When we hover our mouse over it, gives us the date and time it was created, the size of it, right? So and you see it's quite large, over 9.5 gigs. So let's actually open it up. Well, so it just have different types of files there as far as the data that we need just in case anything was to happen. But now that we've done a full backup, now we're going to take a look at performing an incremental backup in Windows. So can only be performed after you performed a full backup. So since we've done that already, we're just going to perform an incremental. So let's actually, okay, we're already there. So let's go to download. All right. Select the new document here. All right. It says here, let's actually bring this back up. All right. Then now while it says full backups only, actually that's the default. All right. There it is. All right, perfect. And let's set it up back. And this number is just depicts the number of the incremental backups that's going to be performed after a full backup. So once the total number of incremental backups are done, a new full backup will be performed is what I'm setting here, right? All right, let's take a look at everything else. Let's hit OK here, and then backup now. And this seems to be a lot quicker than the last one, which is incremental, right? And perfect. And again, the full backup was literally just performed because we changed the backup property. So now the next one, which is now is, there you go, my connector speed also going to be an incremental backup, right? So before it to finish here. Okay. All right, so looks like it didn't finish because there's not enough space on the folder. It's not enough space, but nonetheless, it's not enough space, but we're still going to move forward, right? So let's actually go ahead and do a few, right? So we can actually restore backed up data. So we can actually restore the backup in case of an emergency. Now, when you restore the backup using Paragon backup and recovery software restores the files in the same folder. Now, not really worried too much about this because we already did a full backup. So we weren't able to do all of the increments. I mean, that's fine. That's not the desired result, but it's the result that we have. Again, the nature of being in a lab. So, but nonetheless, we can actually, let's see, right click and then get this file. It was very short case. So it's how you guys donate in map. But now let's open this back up. We can figure out this. So it'll still tell us, it is definitely not that time of the day. I wish it was. But yeah, it'll still tell us, exactly the reason, the description, the date and time, things of that nature. So we actually, let's see, restore. Yeah, usually it would say, take a look here. Yeah, no, usually it would have restore from my new backup, but obviously since we weren't able to complete, it doesn't have that. So we're just going to actually, let's see if we can do a few other things here. Restore, right? Restore. Yes, restore. So this process, hopefully, God willing, it doesn't take as long as the previous two. So we can then finally move forward with not only our next task, but also our next exercise that we're also going to have in this video here. All right, so the restoration finished, had to restore the server and everything, but I'm just going to bring back up the file manager again. And I'm actually going to go back to the downloads folder. Backup one now should have been restored with the restoration of the full. Maybe it's just not done yet, right? Because I literally just turned it back on. But nonetheless, there's different backup methods, right? Not just the ones we did as far as the full incremental, but you can do snapshot, tape, disk copy, network attached storage, offline versus online, offsite, and things of that nature. But we can now move on to our final exercise that we have for this particular video. And it's going to be on, let's see if it holds for us. All right, so it's going to be on non-persistence and resilience, right? All right, perfect. So any network devices or servers that are installed on the network should be up and running, right, without any downtime, right, and working resiliently, right? So in case any server or system runs into a problem, it's no longer working, we just need to know the methods to recover them as soon as possible. So let's actually open up File Explorer, and then let's see. All right, perfect. So let's configure this. Right, see for local disk, I'm going to turn on the system protection course. And we want this to be on. Then 5, right? Then delete. All right, and there may be a situation where we may not need to retain a certain restore point, or you may be running out of this space, as you saw earlier when I was attempting to run the incremental backup. Still, actually, here, but nonetheless, on this, here should still be up if I close it or not. But yeah, so the restore points were deleted successfully. So yeah, just wanted to make sure I did everything it was supposed to. Right. So now we can actually click out of here, and then we can actually, right? Perfect. Now just showing the progress for the creation of the restore point, as you can see here. And then when we're notified that the restore point has been created, I'll be able to close this out and we can move along. All right, perfect. All right, now we're here. Let's go back to the restore. All right, perfect. All right, finish of course. Yes, of course. All right. All right, just the progress, right? And it may take about 3 to 4 minutes. Um, but that's fine. And it should complete in just a moment. There it is. All right, perfect. So everything has been restored, as we can see here. Again, it's not that date and time, but the documents have not been affected, and we've officially done the restoration. Now, there is an order to restoration as well. After you perform a backup, you have to restore it. And sometimes if you've only been taking a full backup every time, there will be likely that one tape just contains a full backup, multiple if it was a large backup, right? So I just want to understand your last known configuration, your library media, high availability, scalability, diversity as well. But nonetheless, all of those things also brings us to the end of this video for cybersecurity backup and restoring strategies, right? And the next video is going to be on identity and account management mechanisms. And just for a brief recap of what we went over redundancy, replication, backup types, creating system image backups, and non-persistence and resilience, right? Um, and so we did a bit of that. It was fun. It was awesome. A lot of patience was required, which is, I guess a good thing. But nonetheless, this is the end of the video, and I'll see you in the next one.